Hey, what's up guys, Sir Emanon here, and welcome to episode 3 of Cheap Competitive Contenders, the series where I take a look at budget competitive builds and apply them in a competitive context. So, this is going to be the Shaddoll Hero episode, and I do want to apologize that this video has come out a couple of days late. Just a few things came up with school over the weekend, and also I had a few ideas that I wanted to sort of implement in this video, like changes that I had from a couple of days ago. You'll notice that we are on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, or at least an edition of it, which I'll get to a bit later, rather than Dueling Book. Because as good as Dueling Book is, I feel that it's a lot harder to play many games in quick succession. Obviously, with the speed of Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro and the automation aspect of it, it's a lot faster. And even though the quality of games might be a little bit lower, you will eventually run into some, meta decks and some higher quality games if that's what you're looking for. I'm pretty proud of the replays that I have to showcase for you guys today. But anyways, I want to showcase multiple duels in one single video and across multiple matchups as well. So I don't really want to keep you guys here for too long, as Dueling Book replays can drag on for a substantial amount of time. And also, if you are wondering what specific client this is for Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, this is actually the rebranded version, the new yugioh Pro or Edo Pro. So basically, Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro per se has rebranded to Project Ignis. They changed your Discord server and everything, which is where you can find the download link if you were interested. I would highly recommend it because there's a lot of cool, interesting features that this particular client has that the other one didn't. For example, it has test hands, and I believe AI duels are back as well. So that's pretty nice for a lot of people. So if you are interested, I will leave the link to their Discord server in the description box down below. Also in the description box down below, you will be able to find a complete price breakdown for each of the individual cards on here if you're wondering exactly how this amounted to the exact price. I do believe it's around, what is it, like $82.93, something around there. I just quickly looked at my spreadsheet. So yeah, that's what the price should be. And keep in mind that obviously price fluctuations do occur on a day-to-day basis. So if, I believe I actually took those prices even a couple of days before this video goes live. So those prices might even be inaccurate by the time this goes up. But still, just keep that in mind that things might be, things are very fluid, so to speak. But yeah, so what's the premise behind this specific Shaddoll variant? So obviously Shaddoll is one of the best decks in the current metagame, not receiving any hits on the latest ban list. And it's really strong because of its recursive ability to just keep grinding with its Shaddoll effects. Because of course, if you are unfamiliar, Shaddolls have effects that trigger when they are sent to grave via card effect. And obviously that counts as fusion summoning, being destroyed, being sent from deck to grave, etc, etc. So they all have effects where they can search each other out or special summon from deck with things like Wendy, which is the new one. You also have a lot of really good boss monsters in your fusions. You have Window, which is one of the strongest floodgates of the format, being able to lock down special summons. You have aggressive plays with Construct, being able to clear boards and set up your graveyard even further. And you have the new Apgalome, which is able to negate stuff on the field, kind of like an Impermanence. And I'm also playing Shekinaga, which I'll talk about a little bit later, but this also provides additional negation. So with Shaddoll having the ability to build pretty moderate boards, but also just maintain a lot of advantage. There is a bit of a problem in terms of consistency, where it has a hard time either finding a lot of Shaddoll names or finding enough fusion spells. Now, the Shaddoll names is pretty easy if you play. It's pretty easy to shore up that weakness if you play like a healthy number of Shaddolls. As you can see, we're playing 14 here. But the fusion spells is kind of where it gets tricky, because 3 Shaddoll fusion and 3 L Shaddoll fusion is definitely not enough. So the way that most people in the metagame have been supplementing this is with the invoked engine, of course, because Alistair the Invoker just gets you a free fusion spell every single turn. It can turn itself into a wide variety of attributes, because Almirage and Secure Gardener can become, result link monsters of Alistair's existence. And essentially, it also toolboxes rather into other fusions with the invoked fusion lineup, which is very powerful. Now, our build is attempting to kind of supplement the Shaddoll engine with, instead of the invoked package, a hero package, because of course the invoked core is very expensive at the moment, and this is obviously a budget series. So what the hero engine tries to do is kind of similar to the invoked engine in that it finds you a fusion spell, as Vian allows you to search for polymerization, but Also, it's really cool because it gets you a light monster that you don't have to actually commit from your field to fuse with. So keeping that extra body on your board actually allows you to go into the cross shape plays a lot more frequently. So if you open even certain 2-hero combinations like Vion plus Wendy or Vion plus Squamata, or even Vion plus Hedgehog to a degree, you're able to set up pretty much the same full power boards as what Invoked Shaddoll can do, minus the invoked monsters. But you just supplement that with a higher count of Shaddolls, and that's one of the reasons why Shekinah is in here. But just getting you that light axis while also just getting you additional pluses, Vion on its own as a +2, is really, really good in a deck that is focused heavily on fusion summoning. So basically, what the Hero Engine tries to do is just allow you to maintain consistent access to your plays. We are obviously not really playing that many defensive cards in this deck. Pretty much the only real defensive card here is Super Poly, and even then, like, that kind of just helps you make aggressive plays with your engine. But yeah, if you are expecting a lot of like combo heavy decks, you can obviously change this build accordingly to suit your metagame or based on what your budget can accommodate. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and quickly run through the deck list, and then I'll talk about some card choices a little bit. I'm not going to go super duper in depth, but I'll talk a little bit about some of the more interesting things in here. Alright, so we got 3 copies of Shaddoll Wendy, 3 Shaddoll Squamata, 3 Shaddoll Hedgehog, 1 Shaddoll Dragon, 2 Shaddoll Beast, 2 Nail Shaddoll Ariel, 3 Vision Hero Vion, 2 Elemental Hero Shadow Mist, I almost said Stratos there, 1 Elemental Hero Anos Neos, 1 Performance Trick Clown, 3 Shaddoll Fusion, 3 El Shaddoll Fusion, 3 Polymerization, 1 Magicalized Fusion, 3 Super Polymerization, 2 Fusion Recycling Plant, 1 Rhoda, 1 Foolish, 2 Red Shaddoll Incarnation, and then the extra deck is 2 El Shaddoll Construct, 2 El Shaddoll Winda, 2 Apgalome, 1 Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, Nightmares Unicorn and Phoenix, regular Shaddoll Construct, Cross Sheep, Credit Plant, Verity Anaconda, Gravity Controller, and Abyss Dweller. And then the side deck is 3 Lava Golem, the second copy is Shaddoll Dragon, 2 Cosmic Cyclone, 3 Twin Twister, 3 Different Dimension Ground, and 3 Dimensional Barrier. So Shaddoll is not too much to explain here. The only real things that stick out is the 2 Ariel, which most people are opting to play 1, and in most cases I would play 1, but this is actually a really combo heavy build in that like you have a pretty good chance to see Vion plus either Wendy or Squamata, which is ideal. So in those cases you're going to go through the cross sheep line where like you go ahead and set Ariel off the Wendy and then flip it up with the Shaddoll Incarnation and then summon the construct back to the zone sheep points to and bring back another guy and then go off from there. So you always want to make sure that that combo can resolve, but also like even in grind games, like you'll find in cases where you're against like combo or graveyard centric matchups that you want to just keep banishing stuff from your opponent's graveyard because it's like really, really useful. And yeah, you just always want to have like options to be able to like search this off Hedgehog if you need to like access Apgalone and stuff, because like just being a different attribute is very, very nice. Like most of the time you'll be prioritizing Wendy in that case, but like just having like more availability for that is pretty good. Also, maybe something they talk about is Shaddoll Hedgehog. Like some people are playing 2 of it, but I think that like if you're not opening Wendy or Squamata, this is like the 3rd best one because it eventually gets you access to one of these, which is like an okay play. It's definitely not as explosive as like these 2 because like these just toolbox you whatever you need to, especially in tandem with Vion. But like it gets the job done like later down the line, and you're trying to grind in odd cases anyway. Like Beast is fine, but like the draw isn't like a guaranteed follow-up or a guaranteed play, whereas Hedgehog is. It just is a roundabout way of going about it. So 14 Shaddolls, I think it's pretty good. Falco is something I considered playing and was testing, but I found that it just didn't really accomplish anything that like I felt the rest of the deck couldn't. I think that Falco can like it can revive fusions, which is pretty cool. But apart from that, I felt like the deck is able to grind like fairly reasonably enough. But you could opt to play Falco instead of the second Ariel. It was kind of a last minute switch for me. So I kind of still think that like you can make the case. I just think that 14 Shaddolls is a pretty good number here. So that's pretty good there. Then we got the hero package. So it's basically you normal summon Vion, and then you send Shadow Mist to search yourself your free light monster, and then you banish a Shadow Mist to search Polymerization, and you get a free +2. So if you're able to open up a good Shaddoll monster with this, you're able to set up your full play like I mentioned earlier, which is really, really good. Honest Neos is probably like the best light hero monster. Most of them are really, really not good. It can come up in like niche scenarios, like you can pump up a Vion to 3500 if you need to beat over like a Winda in a mirror match maybe, or like a monster that's equipped with the Dragon Buster Destruction Sword card from Union Carrier. So like, it can come up in niche scenarios. It's not very, very good for its effect, but it is a light monster, which is really, really cool. and it's very, very needed. So yeah, Shadow Mist is really nice because if you open it and you confuse with it, you'll miss out on searching a light if you have to search Vion later, but like it gets you either a follow-up where you can use it next turn and search or send your other Shadow Mist, or you can go ahead and just get your other fusion spell right away, which is really, really good. And Vion can also send Vion, so like that's really good if you like need to send itself. So that's pretty nice. And then the last monster in here is Trick Clown. It's usually your go second option when you open Shaddoll Fusion, sending your light monster. I'm not playing Damage Juggler here. I just really feel like it's not super needed because even though we're playing a low amount of lights, you're not really struggling too badly because Vion is just so efficient at getting you there. So like this is primarily for going second, this is for going first, and like even if you're sending Trick Clown directly, like it's fine because you want to reserve your normal summon for the Vion anyway, ideally. So like you don't really want to like normal the Trick Clown, whereas like the one revive is generally good enough and it gets you into Cross Sheep like by itself. You don't need to get past that usually. And that's also the reason why like we're not playing multiples. Like you don't want to see like more than one of this where like you're primarily trying to just see Shaddoll monsters and fusion spells. Alright, so the fusion spell is not too much to say here. You definitely need to max out on 3 poly in my opinion if you're playing this fusion package, or the hero package rather. Just because like it's just your 7th through 9th copies of like fusion spells for your deck, and you really definitely need to see them. So like with Vion you have like 12 copies, and then with Rhoda you have 13. So that's pretty good. And we got Magicalized Fusion, which is the target for the Predaplant Verte Anaconda. It's pretty cool. So you can fusion summon a spellcaster fusion monster by banishing materials on your field or graveyard. So primarily you're going to be summoning Winda off of your Verte Anaconda play, but if you do happen to open it and you're going second, for example, you could summon Apgalone as well and negate a card that way. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, this is just probably one of the best options. Like people were telling me like to play Quintet Magician, but like I don't know, I just feel like that's too much of a gimmick for going second. Like you could play it if you really wanted to, but I don't know, I just feel like it's not really that worth it. Then we got 3 Super Poly, which is like the most dedicated going second card in the deck. Really good at breaking boards, obviously in tandem with the Verte Anaconda. Stark Venom's really good. You just turn anything on your opponent's board into dark and then you just fuse it away. Really good. Also obviously works well with Shaddolls. Nothing too much to explain there, pretty self-explanatory in my opinion. Then we got Fusion Recycling Plant, which is probably the most interesting card in here. So we're already playing Polymerization because of Vion, right? So might as well just play more copies to get you there. It is a bit of redundancy, which is true, but if you think about it, Invoked plays like all of these cards. You just replace these with Alistairs and these with Invocations, and you essentially get the same number except you have Meltdowns and you have Terraforming. So like these are kind of your Meltdowns. You don't really want to bulk in it because it's not essential for your play, and it is definitely kind of risky to get started with this card because the discard cost can kind of be much unless you're pitching like Shadow Mist. But it definitely has a really cool application in terms of being able to get you your recycled or your fused materials back, because that's something that the deck kind of can struggle with, is especially with like Dragon. Like since we're only playing one, and if you like need it game 1 against control matchups, like this can help you get it back, which is really good. It can also help recycle extra deck monsters too, which is really good. So I really enjoy having this card just as extra ways for you to like recycle through your engine. It's really nice. Rhoda for Vion, Foolish for usually sending Mist or Hedgehog, getting your searches. If you send Shadow Mist, like you won't be able to search your light monster for that turn, but it's okay if you need to get a fusion spell. It's like fine. And we have 2 of the Shaddoll Incarnation. This is really good because you're usually going to banish one for your combo, and then you need your second one to be able to loop Apgalone or your Construct. Like they both get it back. So you just have like infinite fodder, and you can grind like forever with this card, which is really good. No core. I just feel like core isn't necessary. It wasn't really needed for any of the combos that I was testing out. So if you guys do want to see a combo video, by the way, just be sure to leave a like in this video. Again, I'll just do the thing where if we get 100 likes in the video, I will make a combo video. And if you watched the last BA video, don't worry, that one is coming soon. But anyways, extra deck is pretty self-explanatory. I think these ratios are fairly okay, actually no, it's I need to talk about this a bit. So Construct and Window are pretty self-explanatory at 2. In pure builds, some people play 3, which I wanted to, but I just really couldn't find the room. I just wanted to play everything else. But if I could play a 16th card, it would be a 3rd Construct first. So yeah, definitely keep that in mind. If you do want to cut something, you can fit in a 3rd Construct, and I would not blame you there. 2 Apgalone, it definitely comes up at times where, because you're not really as aggressive as like the Invoked deck, which has Burger Trio, which is really, really aggressive, you definitely want to grind as much as you can. And this just being able to like fuse into a second copy to negate more cards is really, really helpful. And its graveyard effect is really, really like essential for grinding as well, because recycling from graveyard is really, really good. And notably, if you recycle extra type monsters, you don't actually have to discard a card, or you don't discard it. You don't discard a card at all, because it has to specifically return to hand in order to you know, get the discard effect. So like, that can actually be used to your benefit at certain points in the game. And then Shekinaga is here because of the fact that if you do your standard play, you have the option of going into this because Cross Sheep happens to be in Earth. So you are able to actually use Shaddoll Fusion to go into this, which can happen quite often. Yeah, it's just really, really nice as an option to be able to have more negation, because typically when you're setting up, you'll be able to have this plus an Shaddoll Fusion set plus one of these in hand, because you can search with Hedgehog in your combo. So you can like negate a card, pitch one of these, and then like summon or dump to summon another guy, and then like make either App Clone or a Winda. So that's very, very good. Starving Venom I already talked about with the Super Poly. Nightmares for just generic utility. You can spam quite a lot, so pretty good to have these there. Regular Shaddoll Construct, which is really, really good because when you go the Cross Sheep line, you have Aerial already, so you can resolve your Flip monster, which gets you into Shaddoll Construct. And this is just a free recurable light monster that you can use to go into like Shaddoll monsters every single turn. It brings itself back, which is really, really critical, and it also triggers Shaddoll effects while in Grave. And just being like another fusion spell is really, really nice. And then Cross Sheep, obviously, Verite Anaconda, pretty obvious. It's the most expensive card in this list, I do believe, but it's well worth it. And the list is still definitely under $100. And we have Gravity Controller, which you definitely need at times where you need to make App Clone and then link it away. And then Abyss Dweller, because if you do the Cross Sheep lines, you can definitely easily bring back Squamata and overlay with like an Aerial. Or if you want to do that route, usually you would bring back Vion, and the Vion's second effect actually is no hard ones per turn. So you can like, you know, search your first poly with its standard combo, fuse with the Honest Neos, and then banish the Honest Neos when you bring back the Vion off the Cross Sheep, get another poly, and then overlay for your Dweller. So that's like a really cool play you can do. And then side deck, you can definitely tailor this to whatever you have or whatever your metagame is, obviously, like I mentioned earlier. So I will leave that up to you. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and just go into some replays now, where I'll provide a little bit of commentary along the way. See you guys there. Alrighty guys, so welcome to the replay section of this video. I'm not going to go super in depth like I do with the Dueling Book replays, because I want to get multiples of them in at once, and I will be talking quite a bit faster to keep up with Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro. I'll stop here and there, but yeah, we'll just go ahead and get into some meta matches here. Alright, so we're going to start off here against Salaman Grape. So we have Vion, and we're going to go ahead and go through a normal line. We are able to search a second copy of Vion because we already have the Honest Neos, but he does hit us with the DD Crow, which sucks because we can't search Polymerization, but this is where Recycling Plant comes in as an extra copy of Poly, and it actually gets us a second copy of Vion engraved to be able to search a second Poly, which is nice. Foolish also gets us there because Hedgehog grabs us a Wendy, so we can go into regular Construct shenanigans where Construct and Wendy both trigger. We get an Aerial from deck, and we also get our Squamata to send our Reshadol. We can link it to Cross Sheep, and then banish our Reshadol with our Construct to flip with the Aerial, which gets back our Construct, triggering both it and the Cross Sheep. So we're able to establish a pretty strong board here by sending the Shaddoll Fusion and grabbing back the Squamata. And from here you can do quite a lot. I opt to link into the Shaddoll Construct here because it's really, really nice, because it allows us to go into another copy of Shaddoll Construct. So we add back the Shaddoll Fusion off the first Construct, and the second Construct will send us the Reshadol. This is kind of what I was talking about in the deck profile, where you want the second copy of Reshadol for grinding because the first one gets banished often with the combo. So yeah, we're going to link it to Verite Anaconda. You also have a line where we'll get to another replay where you end on Shekinaga instead. But we get the add back here again, and then I opt to use the Shaddoll Construct Grave effect to trigger Beast just because like I want the extra draw. We get a Trick Crown, which is going to be like okay for next turn. And then we're going to go ahead and use the Verite Anaconda to send Magicalized Fusion for Winda and set 2 in pass. Adding back off the Fusion Recycling Plant, which is really, really good because now we have different attributes to go into App Clone off of the Shaddoll Fusion, or we can go into another Winda if needed. Pretty strong setup. We have the Trap as well. So he's going to start off with a Mining for a Prohibit Snake, which is really, really bad for us because it outs our Winda, but we do again have ways to just make another one. So yeah, Balinks and Buffalo combo are going to, of course, trigger, and he's going to draw a Nibiru and a Foxy off of the Jaguar send. So he's going to out our window, but we are going to immediately make another one. Just because it forces him into an awkward situation where, like, even if he has an extender like a Will or something, he can't really go much farther. And like he can like relink with Sanctuary, but that's not really going to do much either. So yeah, probably what he should have done was pitch the Roar off of the Mining instead of the Rage. That way, like, he would have been able to set Rage and then activate Roar's Grave Effect. But anyways, so we also got a Beast off the Wendy that we fused with, by the way. So that's going to be pretty good. And we also get another add back. So yeah, Recycling Plant triggers on both players' turns, which is really, really cool. So if you use a Super Poly or if you use Shaddoll Fusion, you get a material back. So it just gets so much value over time, which is really, really good. And also because it adds Poly from deck or grave to hand, it basically ensures you just never run out of fusion spells, which is crazy. We draw another one, which is obviously not ideal, but I mean, it's alright. We're already super far ahead. We can trigger Shadow Mist, and we're going to link it to our Phoenix. He does have Nibiru, but we are eventually going to go ahead and stick a window on our board. Just because, like, I link it away and I want it back on the field, like, as soon as I can get it. I'm pretty sure this is the 3rd summon, or 4th. I can't quite remember. Alright, this might be the 4th. Not quite sure if he could have Nibiru'd us at this point. Probably not worth Nibiru, just an App Glow and then a Trick Cloud. Probably not worth it. So, yeah, here we are with the window. And I guess either he couldn't use a Nibiru or he didn't have the chance to, wasn't really paying attention. But yeah, we sent Dragon off the Shaddoll Fusion, which triggered the Balinks, so we're pretty good to go here. And definitely we can't be Nibiru'd now because of window. He could have opted, or I definitely missed lethal here, for sure. I probably could have had game, but I think I was like trying to go into a line where I had another like Shaddoll construct and I realized I ran out of them. So mistake on my part. I could have like linked this away and like added it back too if I wanted to, but I just didn't do it. But Salomon Grey definitely at the stage in the game with these resources can't be a Dweller backed by a Winda, so we also get to add back a Dragon off the Recycling Plant. So yeah, after we Dweller him, he goes ahead and just scoops it up. So we're going to go ahead and go through the rest of these replays. We're going to go for Dino next. So we actually end up losing this one. And this kind of just showcases how you can still kind of break boards and try and make a comeback even if your opponent opens insane. Unfortunately, his board was just too good. His follow-up was too good, rather. So he is playing with the Jewel Beast, which comes out in Eternity Code. But yeah, this deck is really, really crazy, and I definitely want to play it once this card comes out for sure. So yeah, he has Neofiber Axis, Just Synchron, Trishula, so he rips out my Wendy, and then Calamities happens, and he changes to Earth, which is really good. It's a cool play because it allows him to go into Nat Beast with the Giant Rex that he brings back after it gets banished off the Evolution Pill, which obviously is searchable off the Argosaurus. So he ends on Nat Beast plus Ultimate Conductor Tyranno plus Calamities. Thankfully, he didn't rip our Super Poly, so we were good to go. Yeah. Oh, I guess we ripped another one anyway. But yeah, he calls Dark, and we're gonna go ahead and Resolution send away the Nat Beast and the UCT, because it called Dark because he saw Shaddolls. So I guess that actually worked out in our favor there. But unfortunately, we can't attack or really do anything meaningful. And because this counts possession, like, Shaddoll Fusion won't really get us a whole lot of value here. Like, we could like maybe make a construct, but like we can't activate our construct, so like there's not really much of a point. So I decided to just like set and pass because we can't attack. But he goes ahead and tags onto Wonder Magician, which I didn't expect, which pops the other copy of Super Poly. So now that definitely messes up with like the way I was going to interfere with this turn, which is like fuse away Squamata and something into whatever appropriate attribute if he put any on the field. Like if he put a UCT on the field, that would have been nice. But unfortunately not the case, and we were just kind of a sitting duck. He has Miscellaneous Engrave, which spells the end of the game for us because he was able to like recover so many resources. So yeah, this is a cool play. You can like pop Baby and summon back Argosaurus, and then add Evolution Pill. Yeah, he kind of played with his food a little bit, but in the end, he definitely had games. So yeah, he also didn't want to trigger Starving Venom, which is obviously like he could have also like just dulked it, but I mean still game here. So yeah, we were able to break the board, but follow up is insane. And sometimes that's kind of the problem with this deck, is that like you can stare down insane boards like that and you just can't really do anything. Next up we got we'll go Altergeist next. So this is gonna be kind of similar to the Salad game in terms of like a turn 1 setup. He doesn't have a hand trap this time, so we kind of go a little bit unimpeded. But this is what happens when you don't open Vion. But luckily we did open the Trick Clown, so we're able to just kind of still combo off here. If you don't open like a light monster, you're often just gonna end up on like a Winda and like just pass on that, or like an Apgalon setup. So yeah, pretty much the same motions as game number 1 here, but we are going to end up on a little bit of a different board because we already have the Shaddoll in hand, so we didn't have to like add it back. So yeah, we're just going to end on Winda, but like we're not going to go into the Shell construct. We're just going to leave these on board so we can go into Apgalon or another Winda if we need to. So yeah, he goes and summons Melisseek, and then in battle phase we're just going to have to Apgalon it, just for insurance. We don't want it to be sending like random stuff. And Winda is surprisingly good in this matchup because it turns off all of their pop-offs with Faker. So that's like really good. Because like Faker obviously like activates to summon itself and activates again to summon another one. So like, that's obviously 2 summons. And here I'm just gonna go into battle phase because like I'm reading that he probably has protocol because he left this Melisseek. The argument could also be that he just didn't want to play into Shaddoll Fusion, but I decided to just go ahead and attack a bunch of times. But he does have Konkiri, and he wants to like negate my Winda, but luckily we can just punch over it. And we weren't able to game here, but because like we are also under our own Winda. So like, I confused once, but it's like not game if I make another Apgalon. So I decided, like the only way, like maybe I could like fused away the Winda and like no, because like my thought process was maybe super poly, but yeah, this summons in defense, which I couldn't use last turn because I summoned this. Yeah, I don't think there was a way to get game there. I don't think. Maybe there was. You guys can let me know. But yeah, he's going to just try and out the board again, but this is where double Apgalon comes up. Or he's make another one, negate it, and he can't really play past it. He could have used Judgment on it if he really wanted to out it, but I guess he just decided not to. He was trying to hold it maybe. But yeah, we're just gonna Dragon Pop and he just ends up scooping here. So the last one is against Zoo, which is really popular now. And this is kind of going to demonstrate a way to go second again. And we are actually able to play through the disruptions this time around. Alright, so bringing back Hammer Kong with Chakanine, this is pretty standard. End up on Trident Hammer Kong. You could go 1 card Mega Clops with that setup, but Mega Clops doesn't really do much going first. This is a lot better. So he has Cosmic Strike, Ash, and the Trident, which is like pretty good, right? That's 4 interrupts. Pretty good. And he has a Whiptail as well. Yeah, so here I decide, actually, I realize that I'm playing Shekanaga, which happens to be really good in this matchup, like randomly. So I'm just gonna set Squamata and then pitch Vion, and then just go Shekanaga. Pretty good. Yeah, so he's gonna Ash or Squamata, which was actually good. Well, I thought it was good because like, oh, you know, I can just go Shaddoll Fusion, but this actually wasn't summoned from the extra deck, so I kind of make a miscalculation there. I'm like, oh yeah, I can only fuse from hand or field. So I go ahead and do that because that's still the only play. So just go ahead and Apgalon, negate the Hammer Kong, and then I trigger Construct Engrave, or sorry, Shekanaga Engrave, as well as the Wendy to summon the Hedgehog. So yeah, I go ahead and battle phase, and he also makes a mistake here. So he like tries to Whiptail his Hammer Kong, but it's negated. So I think he was thinking that like, oh, he would get Whiptail effect, but Whiptail gives the monster the effect. So bit of mistake on both sides here. But I'm just gonna go ahead and Shaddoll in the battle phase. Just go ahead and just grab more searches. He negates the Apgalon Engrave, which is a little bit unfortunate because I was just gonna get more follow-ups for later turns. But I'm still able to search a Wendy, which is like good enough in a lot of cases. So yeah, he goes ahead and top decks a Tenki, which is pretty good because he gets his engine back online, and he's under 1 summon, but he's just gonna go ahead and just banish the window on his own terms. That way, like, I can't like just summon, link it off, or do something like that. And suddenly I am kind of out of resources. We draw a Recycling Plant, which is obviously not great. We're just gonna set Wendy and pass. He draws Imperm, he doesn't have an engine card, passes. So I go ahead and see a line where I can like go Wendy to summon a guy, and then Fusion Recycling Plant to pitch the Shadow Mist to search Vion, grab another Poly, and then we're off to the races. But Wendy gets impermed, understandable, and then Recycling Plant gets hit with Cosmic, alright, and then the Shadow Mist gets hit with Ash. So that's like our entire play stopped here, so we just try and attack and hope that we can go for game next turn. But he draws the Barrage that didn't get banished, the one-of. So Barrage popped Tenki to grab Whiptail. And here he makes a bit of a weird play. Like he grabs back Trident, but he Tiger Mortars back his Your Tiger Mortar is underneath the Tiger Mortar to try and like beat over the Wendy. Like you could have like crashed it, and, like just sacrifice the Tiger Mortar, but still have material under Trident, because obviously it's not going to be negated next turn. But then I also go back and make a bit of a weird play too. So obviously we're going to shut off Fusion here, but I think it comes to a point where like I resolve all my chain links, get back Trick Clown, Squamata Send, Contract Send, and then like Wendy special Aerial, and then like we can just do this like standard play because we have Russian Grave now, so we can do like the Aerial play again. But I'm pretty sure I end up popping a Barrage. Yeah, I send Dragon off of the Construct here, and then I pop Barrage, and I completely forget that Barrage has a Grave effect that can attach itself. So like it like made up for his misplay by putting the material under the Dragon. So like I just totally like spaced out there and like just didn't realize that. So like I'm forced to go into Unicorn to like spin it back to at least force the Trident. I get Chain Shaddoll here, and then go into Winda, because Unicorn is dark. And then we can go into Construct, and then we can like add off of the Hedgehog here. And we haven't normal summoned yet this turn. And the cool interaction here against Whiptail is that Construct is at the start of the damage step to destroy monsters, whereas Whiptail is after damage calc. So yeah, Whiptail doesn't get a chance to trigger, and then we go ahead and win that one. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go back to the deck real fast. Alright guys, so welcome back. And again, if you want to see the individual price breakdowns, you can go ahead and check out the link in the description for the Google spreadsheet that I put together. I also have an image on screen, both at this point and at the beginning of the video, if you guys just want to, if you guys are curious about the specific prices of any individual card in here. Again, feel free to tailor it to your metagame, to the cards that you have, to your budget you have, and just use this as a guide more than anything else. It's not meant to be like a perfect representation of anything, but I do feel like it's a good working list, and you guys can feel free to tinker around with it as you see necessary. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like, as well as any thoughts or feedback in the comment section down below. Feel free to subscribe for more informative and competitive Yu-Gi-Oh content. If you want to, you can follow me on Discord, Twitter, or Twitch, all through links in the description as always. And once again, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I'll catch you in the next video, not replay, in the next video. See you guys.